Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday, Comrade Confucius. Happy birthday to me. Now, before we start today's video, I'd like to make a birthday speech. Yes, to commemorate my 34th birthday. I know I don't look a day older than 24. It's very good of you to say. I knew you were going to say that. But anyway, I'd like to make a birthday speech. Just to commemorate my 34 years of existence on this planet. If you'd like to skip the preamble, you can just skip on ahead. But if you'd like to listen to my birthday speech, well, by all means, watch my birthday speech. But I just want to say that I'm nearing the wrong side of 30, so to speak. And in 6 years' time, I'll be 40. But quite frankly, I used to dread being 30 years old, before I turned 30 years old. But once I hit that milestone, then I dreaded turning 31. And then I turned 31, and I dreaded turning 32. And then I dreaded turning 33. And now I'm 34. And next year, I'm going to be 35, if I even live that long, considering my smoking and drinking habits. Well, I'm a health-conscious guy, so I only smoke in moderation. But I drink like a fish, you know, in order to make up for all my missed cigarettes. Yes, ever since I became a gamer, I have dramatically cut down the number of cigarettes I smoke, which proves to you that gaming is a healthy habit. I haven't even been to the gym in months. My gym bros are totally gonna unrecognize me. They're totally not going to recognize me. But the thing is, the future chairman of the UMSR, United Malayan Socialist Republic, wishes to say, for all of you who have wished me happy birthday, thank you very much. And for all of you haters who have been hate-stalking my channel, thank you very much as well. And, you know, my birthday wish is the same as always has been. That someday Malaysians shall get socialism and every working person in this country shall have a life of dignity. And, well, considering today's a Tuesday, we're not really celebrating. I'm not really celebrating. My mum just cooked me a feast. She cooked up a storm for me. But I specifically said no party. Because, first of all, I don't like having lots of guests over. I like my gatherings to be small and intimate. I don't like large gatherings, to be honest, and I will not drink with you unless I know you very, very, very well. To drink with me, if you pardon my snobbish sounding rhetoric, to drink with me is not something that everybody gets, but rather it's a privilege that few get to enjoy. So without further ado, let's begin with our video today. So, the Chinese reactionary Lina Hua, who is either a Shanghainese reactionary who escaped Mao Zedong's purges, or who is a closeted white man hiding behind the profile picture of a Chinese woman who is projecting his own Westoid fantasies on China, I'm not so sure. But what I do know is that the moment you see someone's profile and you see them putting their IQ on their profile, putting their IQ number on their profile, there's a very, very red flag, and not necessarily a communist one. But anyway, this profile has said some pretty darn questionable things, you know, and today, I just came across a very, very funny tweet, which goes as follows. China's birth rate is like eugenics. The smart, wealthy and beautiful manage to reproduce, the rest get replaced by robots. Western birth rate is the opposite of eugenics. Uneducated people outbreed the successful and selfish, but the Western number looks nicer. Now, what I appreciate about open social Darwinists who are openly vitriolic to the poor and who don't hide behind pretenses of civility, is that they are like the wolf who is about to eat you. Yes, an open right-winger like Lena Hua does not pull punches, and she does not make her contempt for the poor hidden. It is clear as day to anyone with a pair of eyes. The liberal, on the other hand, is the sort who feels the same way as the vitriolic open right-winger, but is too much of a pussy to express their view openly. So what I can at least respect in the open right-winger is that they don't mind looking bad, or I should say they don't mind people disapproving of them, possibly because their reputation is already down the drain, and if you are a social Darwinist, you deserve to have your reputation thrown down the drain. But this is a very, very insightful tweet, because it gives us insight into the mentality of the bourgeoisie, the mentality of the reactionaries. You see, the reactionaries do not see poor people as people. They're not really people, you see. They are machines, beasts of burden, whose only role is to serve the rich and make their lives more comfortable. Now, I don't know if it was Miss Hua's German upbringing that led to her to believe that the poor were inherently inferior and less deserving of having children, but what I do know is that this mentality, this eugenicist mentality, is not something that originated in China, but rather in the Western world at the turn of the 20th century. Yes, your mentality that only rich people and beautiful people by your own standards are the only people who deserve to breed is basically a social Darwinist mentality that came about in the same time as race science. Yes. Well, the fact of the matter is that this wasn't only practiced, or this is not only practiced by people like Lena Hua. Even world leaders like Lee Kuan Yew, for example, had a similar Malthusian point of view. Now, I'm not saying that they were Malthusian in the sense that they starved millions of people to death like the British colonizers, but they did believe in killing the genes of poor people. Let me read to you a quote by Lee Kuan Yew, the Prime Minister of Singapore, the respected social Darwinist Prime Minister of Singapore. In the older generations, economics and culture settled it. The pattern of procreation was settled by economics and culture. The richer you are, the more successful you are, the more wives you have, the more children you have. That's the way it was settled. I am the son of a successful chap. I myself am successful. So I marry young and I marry more wives and I have more children. You read Hong Lou Meng, A Dream of the Red Chamber, or you read Jing Ping Mei, and you'll find Chinese society in the 16th century, 17th century described. So, the successful merchant or the mandarin, he gets the pick of all the rich men's daughters and the prettiest village girls and probably has 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different wives and concubines and many children. And the poor laborer who's dumb and slow, he's neutered. It's like the lion or the stag that's outside the flock. It is not a game of cards. He has no harems, so he does not pass his genes down. So in that way, a smarter population emerges. Okay, think about it. Analyze Lee Kuan Yew's quote a little bit. The poor laborer who's dumb and slow, he's neutered, like a lion without a herd. Basically, he's using animalistic similes to describe poor people, which fundamentally shows you that he does not see poor people as being on the same plane of existence as middle class or wealthy people. And the same could be said about this Lina Hua, who basically said that the rich reproduce while the poor are bred out. The poor are replaced by robots, so to speak. Because fundamentally, the bourgeoisie do not view the poor as humans. They view you as a robot, a subhuman, whose only purpose for existence is to serve them and make their lives more comfortable. Yes, it is a dehumanizing way of looking at people, but that's the reality of the bourgeoisie, of the reactionaries. They dehumanize the poor to the extent that not only do they believe that the poor do not deserve to pass on their genes, that the poor people that they exploit, by the way, whose backs they are breaking for their own comfort, or whose backs are being broken for these spoiled rich turds' comfort, don't deserve to pass on their genes. The poor people that they rapaciously exploit don't deserve to pass on their genes, don't deserve to have a happy family life, and don't deserve to even exist now that we have robots. Yes, the idea that only certain people are deserving of rights. And if you are not among the elect, then you don't deserve rights. Like I said, it also has something to do with Calvinism, this idea of predestination, that there are simply people who are inherently superior and people who are inherently inferior. And it's not that poverty, of course, is determined by material conditions. You know, it's not as if poverty is passed down intergenerationally. Now, you could argue that yes, children of poor parents are more likely to be poor as adults. So you could play devil's advocate and say that people like Lee Kuan Yew and Lina Hua are trying to say that, well, you know, poor people don't reproduce their cycle of misery. They keep their misery in this generation, then the cycle of misery dies out. But you have to ask yourself, why is there misery in the first place? Why does this misery exist in the first place? You say that poor people should not have children because they shouldn't reproduce the cycle of misery. They shouldn't reproduce the cycle of misery that who caused? That you, the bourgeoisie, you, the capitalist, you, the reactionary, caused. You caused this cycle of misery, and now you are trying to absolve yourselves of responsibility by hoping that your victims will simply die, not literally, but die genetically, and their next of kin will not rise up in the revolution and take revenge against you. That is your true intention in trying to discourage the poor from having children. Because if you really cared about the children of the poor, if you really cared about the children of less fortunate people in society, should you not be pushing for socialism so that the poor will have their material conditions uplifted, the capitalists will get their boots off their throats, and they will get to raise happy and healthy families, just like everyone else. But no, you're not doing that. Instead, you're telling them to end the cycle of misery with you, not have any more children, which is basically telling me that you're okay with the poor being miserable. You're okay with the poor being downtrodden and abused and exploited, as long as their descendants don't come back to haunt you, right? So no, I want to end this video also by saying that just because you're born to a rich family, just because you have parents who are wealthy, it does not mean that you will amount to anything. Try and imagine all the Albert Einsteins, all the brilliant people in the world who were never given a chance because they were born in the wrong circumstances. Juxtapose that with all the useless, lazy wastrels born to rich families. Like my ex-classmates who have never worked a job a day in their lives, who treat people around them like garbage. Or just look at people like those useless wastrels, the T20s, the top 20s, who still rely on affirmative action to enter UiTM when they have all the advantages in the world. Just because you are a rich person, it doesn't mean that your next generation is going to be brilliant. Point of fact, there are quite a lot of useless people who are born to wealthy families. But I guess what's infuriating is that until you realize that robots, automatons, could do the jobs of the people serving you, the people who slave away for your comfort, you never brought up the idea of them not reproducing. What I meant is that you grudgingly tolerated the poor, even though you despised them, because you believed they were useful to you. They could make your lives more comfortable. So that's why you had people like Lee Kuan Yew offering, financial incentives towards poor people who would get themselves sterilized after having 1 or 2 children. But now that you realize that machines can do the job of your victims, now you are telling them to cut their genetics or to basically end their bloodline so that their children will not repeat the same story of misery that they go through. But you have to ask yourself, who is causing the misery to these poor people? So no, I just want to end this video by saying, no, poor people are not machines. They are not automatons who exist only to make your lives more comfortable. Poor people are people with hopes and dreams and wishes. And no matter what, the proletariat, the working class of the world, will rise against their oppressive overlords, for they are many and you are few. We must show the workers of the world the shape of society so that they can tear it down with their bare hands. And we can start by demonstrating to them just how much you hate them. Because once they realize who their true enemy is, not the worker of a different race or religion, but the capitalist of their own race and religion, then they will see the structure of society clearly so they can tear it down with their bare hands. It's only a matter of time before the proletariat of the world play their historic role in seizing power and establishing a dictatorship of the working class. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.